Hello and welcome to Soapbox Speakers, or as I like to call it, I failed Britain! I'm gonna resign.
No, she wasn't even crying about failing Britain. She was just crying. She never said she failed us. She was like, it was my privilege and honour to kill so many of you. I'm only upset I didn't get to kill more of the poor people in this world.
I mean, yes, I do think many Tories are genuinely saddened. The lack of efficacy, as in effectiveness. Killing the poor.
Right, so, for those who don't know, which is probably no one, Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the UK, has handed in a 2 weeks notice for the job. She's fed up to the back teeth with it. She don't want to do it no more, and she got a bit weepy. Well, she's not fed up with it. I think she wants to keep going, but she can't, and she's been
forced to resign.
Yeah. Her mates have all got gathered around, and they've gone, listen, T. Listen, TM. We need to have a chat with you. You're not killing poor people quickly enough. This Brexit thing needs a scapegoat, and frankly, you've made enough money as Prime Minister, and one of us wants to go, and we think it should be Boris. Fuck off.
To be clear, though, she isn't a scapegoat for Brexit because she didn't deliver Brexit.
Yeah, and they needed a scapegoat for the fact that they haven't delivered it yet. That's what I meant.
Okay, but whoever comes next has got to deliver it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that hasn't gone.
Is that
God,
happening?
can you imagine Boris's? Oh my God, I can't, it would just be the British Trump.
Yeah.
And I can't.
I
can't.
So, better get au fait with WTO rules, I guess.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, because they're so great. We've gone through this. I don't want to talk about Brexit again.
No, let's not.
It's fucking boring and it's pointless and it's useless and not important anyway.
Yeah, the other thing is, apologies for those of you, who have been, those avid followers out there who, have been...
Looking at you, Bill.
closely monitoring our channel. Apologies for the delay in the release of this. We've just been busy. We also...
we haven't even... No, we just haven't bothered.
We just suck. Also, there was a change that we both underwent.
What?
Just let me finish.
Oh, right, fine. Jeez.
You find out in a minute. In a few seconds, you'll know if you just let me talk.
Yeah, but that's boring. I'd rather interrupt.
So
what?
Extinction Rebellion happened.
Oh, really?
And it's been mentioned on Soapbox Speakers before regarding climate change, and I think there was a time when I was telling a little anecdote of I feel as if whenever I'll get to a point in a discussion or debate where I'm just like, oh fuck yeah, fuck all this shit. The world is actually dying, and we actually need to deal with that.
Yeah, I could be spending my time better than arguing with you.
Yeah.
I could be learning how to plant crops or purify water.
Yeah. So I did
streamline my existence to have minimal impact.
It's been discussed by me and Jake that we might consider more heavily focusing on climate change issues specifically.
And newsflash, when we decide to do something, we do it. So we joined Extinction Rebellion.
Yes.
Boy.
And we're also thinking of taking the podcast in that general direction as well.
Yes, we were, weren't we?
Yes. You've forgotten about this.
I had completely forgotten about
right,
this.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. It was my idea. And I was so on it. I was like, I'm going to do all this research. I'm going to figure out all these facts to bomb drop all this shit, and I've done none of that.
No, it's fine. It is fine.
But today I did come across somebody. I read the I did the stupid thing of reading the comments on a Labour post, which was about the strike, the kids' strike on Friday, and how Labour was listening. They were like, "We're listening," and I read the comments, and there were a lot of people who were like, "Ah, it's all fake. Climate change isn't real. They just want people to focus on the CO2 narrative. And I'm like... So, I wasn't happy with that. So I just want to take this moment to talk to you directly and say climate change is occurring. One of the comments there was actually quite good. We should probably be calling it a climate crisis as opposed to a climate change, because change denotes something good, and this is not good. This is a crisis for our species. And no one gives a fuck, Kevin. It's always going to be Kevin. No one gives a fuck, Kevin, if you've gone onto Google and you've spent 30 minutes listening to fucking conspiracist theory, fucking far-right bullshit, telling you that climate change isn't real so you can ignore the problem and not have to deal with the existential crisis that it inevitably develops within you. No one gives a fuck, Kevin. Fuck off. Shut your mouth. Stop buying plastic shit. Oh. Christ.
Well, I'm sure that clears things up for everyone.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Climate change is real.
Just ranting.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I needed a rant.
I feel it. So,
boy,
I'd like to take this opportunity really just to kind of share some thoughts I've been having on the issue.
Probably more coherent than mine.
Nah, well, we'll see. Don't build me up yet.
Don't make your omelette until you've counted your eggs.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think that this is going to be one from a changing hearts and minds narrative.
Okay.
As in, I don't think you can tell people and show people the data and have responses to all of these arguments.
Right.
One I've been seeing doing the rounds, and I have a sneaking suspicion Praga U is responsible for this one doing the rounds, is that
What's Praga U?
Praga U was a project set up by the Koch brothers. It's financed by the Koch brothers, and it's there to just kind of have it's a propaganda piece, and the idea was to create a university, but that fell through when they realized how difficult that would actually be, because there is this conspiracy within the right that institutions of education have a left-leaning bias, and that the reason all of these libtards exist is because they're all taught by liberal academics. And it can't possibly be that the more you know, the more you realise maybe a more liberal perspective is more valid.
I mean, yeah, it didn't enter into their brains that education equals a more left-leaning perspective, but it does. Yeah. because when you're educated, you kind of figure out the right way to do things. Yeah. Which is not the right way to do things.
Yeah. So Praga U kind of was an attempt to respond to that. But then when they realised how much work and effort it would be to create a university, they created a YouTube channel. And they get conservative...
oh boy, can't make this shit up.
Conservative academic elites, in parentheses, who go on there and give alternative facts and alternative narratives. So, carbon dioxide, the founder of, is it Greenpeace? They had him on there, who is just fucking insane. Talking about how carbon dioxide is a perfectly natural compound and is not something to be frightened of.
Well, yes it is.
And it's food for plants, so why wouldn't we want more food for plants? Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, but are we going to grow more plants? Like, how many plants do we need to grow to get rid of the CO2?
He didn't think this through. He's talking out of his arse. But needless to say, the other thing I keep hearing is that, and this is what I think Praga U is responsible for. To boil down Praga U for a second, they make 5-minute videos that create talking points that conservatives can use against liberals, and debunking those talking points takes 20 minutes as opposed to 5 minutes. So they just keep firing bullshit, and take up any people who are dissenting of that narrative, they take up their time debunking it, which takes longer than putting together this bullshit. It's an arms race. It's an ideas arms race that they've created, and I hate to tell you it's working. Plenty of people watch Prague EU thinking like, oh, this is brilliant, like I can use this to destroy the left. And in reality, like, a lot of what they say is half true. They're missing out key bits of information, or they're cherry picking what they're looking at. And it is nothing more than a propaganda piece that is financed by the Koch brothers.
Okay.
Who are rich billionaires who want libertarian, laissez-faire economics to be the norm because they want to be richer billionaires.
So what was the thing that you saw that you thought was made by them?
Yeah, so the argument I keep seeing doing the rounds is that, well, during the early Cambrian period, carbon dioxide levels were actually higher than they are today. And so this is perfectly natural for
before we existed.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. Oh, before humanity existed, the climate was different.
Yeah.
It's almost like the climate got to such a state where humanity could thrive.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ! These pricks. That didn't take 20 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe we should start doing like maybe it's
punking podcast.
No. Maybe it's the feeling of like being the minority in the know that they like. So maybe
you're not far off.
So maybe instead of trying to debunk it, we should just come up with even crazier shit that just so happens to tie in with the truth. So it's like, no, CO2 levels are rising and humanity is going to suffer because of this, but it's not us, it's fucking aliens. Aliens are pumping CO2 into the atmosphere.
So where's the grain of truth there?
that CO2 levels are rising and it's a problem for humanity.
Okay.
That's the grain of truth.
I don't know. I don't like that.
You don't? No. The ends don't justify the means.
That makes me feel ill.
I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it right now.
Right,
Kids, you listening? CO2's caused by aliens, but we still have to deal with it.
Plot twist: humans are the aliens.
Bow wow wow. Yeah. Fucking hell.
Cue Doctor Who music.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so
yeah.
I don't like debunking it, fighting this on like an ideas front, convincing people of the evidence. Nah, that's just not going to happen. Like you are
lining up their cars, taking away their fuel, destroying their buildings.
Sure. Yeah.
Blocking their roads.
I mean, I don't disagree with you there.
Chopping down their trees. Wait, shit.
Well, I mean, like in the case of the UK, there are 4 main depots where...
Shh, don't give it away, they might suspect you.
Well, I'm just saying as a hypothetical here, like, if we're going to be talking about, like, eco-terrorism...
I mean, I meant it as a joke, but yeah.
No, I agree, but, like, if you remember the fuel strikes, like, early 2000s...
vaguely, yeah.
it was, like, mid-90s.
Yeah.
That was just a bunch of farmers. They took like some heavy duty farming equipment, and they blockaded 3 of the main refineries and petroleum crackers. Where they take crude and crack it so that you get the various different lengths of hydrocarbons.
Yeah.
And they blockaded those refineries.
As you do.
That was just a group of farmers. That was, a couple of trucks per refinery. And that nearly brought the UK to a standstill. So, like, in terms of, like, can you cause catastrophic damage to all the carbon-reliant infrastructure of the UK relatively easily? Yes, you can. So my point there is, yes, that definitely is an option. That's all I'm saying there. That's not me saying, go do it. That's me saying, like, yeah, that is a way of doing it.
Speaking of activism and milkshakes. Milkshakes are becoming quite popular in the UK. especially when you throw them over racist far right wankers. Apparently.
Mm.
So, like, again, for those who don't know, Tommy Robinson was mouthing off at this guy, getting up in his face, and so this guy decided, in a moment of pure genius, to throw his milkshake all over Tommy Robinson, to which Tommy Robinson reacted with violence, which, to me, is again, like, correct me if I'm wrong.
He's doing a real good job of getting rid of that old football hooligan thug.
History. No, but correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you respond to somebody throwing a milkshake over you by punching them repeatedly, you have in fact broken the law.
I mean, I think the guy who did the milkshake throwing, I think that technically counts as battery.
No, the throwing of the milkshake is technically assault.
Is it assault?
However, you are only in self-defence if you are using reasonable means to defend yourself, and you can't exactly use any reasonable means to defend yourself from a milkshake. It's not going to hurt you, so you can't punch someone who throws a drink over you because you are responding with unreasonable force.
So what's your point here? Just so
Tommy Robinson broke the law, and nobody's talking about that shit. Nobody's arrested him, and it's on fucking film.
I mean, I don't disagree with you as such. I just don't think it would be in the spirit of what that exchange was.
Look, not being funny. If I threw a drink over someone and they threw a punch at me, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, this is an unacceptable reaction. Like, and people who think that that's an acceptable reaction are exactly the reason we still have a fucking hooligan, fucking football hoodlum problem in the UK. Like, it's that fucking culture of like, yeah, well, he threw a drink over me, so I fucking smashed his face in, didn't I? That is the problem.
I mean, I don't.
Right there. Fuck him.
I don't disagree with you, but you know, just to remind you, the planet is dying, and I think there's more time that our time is spent discussing that than Tommy Robinson.
No, but sometimes you got to distract yourself before you go crazy. They also threw one over Nigel Farage, just as a by the way.
And Carl Benjamin.
Sargon, he did. Fucking fuck you, Sargon. You're a prick.
Yeah, he is.
And he might get in.
No, there is not a chance in hell that he's getting in.
I don't know. It's not like people vote for individuals. If the party wins a seat, he can be that person.
No, because you've got to look at the demographics of the region he's running for.
Oh, fair.
He's
got no chance.
From what I can tell, from like a preliminary peruse, and it was only a preliminary. And based on like previous voting history for UKIP, which is the party he's in, I cannot see him gaining it.
Good. What a prick. But yeah, anyway, you're right. I just briefly wanted to mention milkshakes because, it made me laugh. But if you're going to do it, if you're listening and you're going to do it, make your own milkshake at home. Don't go and support some shitty company by buying their milkshakes. Just make your own milkshake. Out of shit and piss. Stir that shit up and, add a bit of rat's wee in, just in case.
Unfortunately, that then ups the offence.
Only if they catch you.
Because there is a premeditated element to all that, right?
There's a premeditated element to buying a milkshake and throwing it over someone at this point.
I know, but it's difficult.
Also, police going around asking people not to sell milkshakes when far-right tours are happening. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like they'll just buy something else. It's not really the milkshake. It's whatever they can find to hand.
That was a terrible idea.
Yeah,
and I have no idea why. What the police?
Well, it might be fake. I didn't fact check that shit. So
that is true, but then it might be fake. Anyway, sorry, there is this other kind of narrative going back to what we were talking about earlier in Prague U.
Right. Yeah.
There is this kind of narrative of it like being a conservative or being a Republican is like the new punk.
They're trying to popularise it.
Yeah, so like Turning Point, like USA, they're trying to make it like so young people are Republicans.
To be fair, I met.
I'm an original free thinker.
I met a young Tory who was training to be a mechanic. When I was training to be a mechanic, I met him and I had a chat with him and I was like, "But why are you supporting them though?" And he was like, "Oh, they're the right business thing and all of this shit." And I was trying to explain to him like they're not good at business. They're just out to line their own pockets. You coming from anything under an extremely rich family means that you are not going to benefit from supporting the Tories.
Yeah.
Why do you support them again? And he was just like, can you just respect my belief, my choices? And I was like, yeah, sure.
I mean, I can respect the fact that you have them. That doesn't mean I have to respect what they are.
Yeah. God, I fucking hate Tories, and there's so fucking many of them in the UK.
It would appear so.
And they're all fucking hidden. None of them admit it. None of them are like, I'm a Tory supporter. They keep it secret and they put their fucking ballot in because they know they should be ashamed.
Because they're an oppressed class.
Yeah, those poor rich white people.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Fuck them.
Yeah, so...
I'm a lot angrier than I was expecting to be for this.
No, I understand.
Mm.
It's been...
Sorry, we keep going off topic.
I know.
The Praga U, is that how you say it?
Praga U, yeah.
Yeah.
Was going to be Praga University. Anyway,
Praga, you done fucked up.
So, as for, like, what I think is potentially, like, a solution...
Yeah.
Rather than fighting this from, like, ideology against ideology, or just, like, fact versus feeling.
Fight it, milkshake versus milkshake.
What's that famous phrase, facts don't care about your feelings? Again, popularised by Praga U.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, straight up.
It's grim. It's
Yeah.
grim. It's all grim.
Yeah. This is not me endorsing Praga U, but, like, just, like, if you ever kind of wondering what the fuck I'm talking about here, just do check them out.
If you ever want to feel like you're losing brain cells.
Yeah. If you want to know what, like, the propaganda machine looks like, check out Praga U.
I feel that. Although there is an element of propaganda to the left as well.
Oh, absolutely. But, like, I'm just thinking of this from, like, a case study thing. Like, you want to demonstrate to someone what propaganda is. This. So, two rich billionaires set up this this YouTube channel in order to affect change in conservative thought within the Republican Party. And it did that so well that it's become so popular with the skeptic community, such as the Sargons of the Cards and...
all
the Paul Joseph
all the
Watsons,
scum-sucking, bottom-of-the-barrel, shit-eating cunts.
Anyway, so yeah, I think you're gonna have to, like, change what people want as a lifestyle, and you're gonna have to make it as with regards to addressing climate change, and it's already kind of happening. If you look at, like, the young people today, they're having less children. They're becoming quite. They're deciding not to have children because they don't feel they can afford them.
Is this in the UK?
This is the UK. This is in the first world in general.
Yeah.
So young people as a whole are deciding not to have children because of uncertainty about the future.
There was always a trend between education and having less children, though. So, like,
I don't disagree with you there.
So there might not necessarily just be climate issues that are causing it, but
it's not just climate issues, but also it's also economic issues.
Oh fuck yeah, no,
Right.
that's having an effect.
It's primarily economic.
Yeah. Do you know how many people that I know in my area that are my age that can afford a house? Fucking, like, 1, 2. Both my stepbrothers, both very, very hard-working people who spent a lot of time saving up and moved back in with their parents to do it. Like,
yeah, and it's possible to do all of that and work very hard and still fail.
Yeah, but also, and also one of them is in a part-owned house, a part-ownership house, so doesn't own the whole house, and the other one's living in a flat, not a proper house.
Right.
And like.
And are they planning on having children?
They haven't yet.
Right.
They haven't yet. So. They haven't mentioned it.
Yeah, so there are the
sister had 3, 4 though. So.
Yeah. There are, like, the point I'm getting.
None
at
of us
here
can
is,
have any.
the point I'm getting at here is there are kind of, like, market forces and social forces at play that have kind of have created fertile ground for people to kind of choose a new type of lifestyle. Right. People are open to the idea of adopting a new lifestyle.
I think choose might be a stretch.
Yeah, necessity is
necessity
now saying, wait, what? I can grow all my own food now.
Yeah.
With this thing, I absolutely want that because my fucking food prices are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, there are people now making those judgment calls, where it's like small houses are a thing now. You know, those tiny house movement.
Yeah.
Plenty of,
like, houses in a storage container, that sort of thing.
Yeah, or just, like, actual, like, really nicely built tiny houses. It's essentially just a room.
Tiny house.
Yeah. That's becoming a thing now because of, like, the cost of land, the cost of owning a property.
Yeah.
So it's really just about kind of like exploiting those market forces as they stand currently, and getting people to move on board with it. I'll give an example of it already kind of being at play. When the government was giving subsidies and tariffs for any renewable energy that you as a resident, that you were locally generating and feeding into the grid, you used to be able to get money for that, but they've removed all the tariffs for it. But what the interesting thing that happened is that enough people got solar panels that it created the situation where coal-powered power stations were
no
longer economically viable, and the reason is quite interesting. Coal power stations have a long spool-up time from when you start the boiler kicking off and burning the fuel to when it's actually going to start running turbines and actually generating power.
Yeah.
So it has a long cycle period to get to that. And because of the way solar works, which is that as you get closer to midday, the energy continues increasing and spikes at midday and then gradually deteriorates because of the rise and fall of the sun and how much atmosphere the sun's got to get through.
Yeah.
You've got this nice bell curve of like power generation, just a trickle in the morning, slowly, steadily increasing, peaking and then troughing. That peaking and troughing, you only needed a little bit of solar to suddenly, because of that intensity spike, that now meant that this massive chunk of the day is no longer economically viable to run a coal power station.
Yeah.
And you didn't need a lot of solar for that.
I mean, we had our first coal-free week.
Yes,
the other month.
I was about to mention that. Yeah. So so there are market forces at play that are now making these things more viable and more interesting, and if you can, or like more, not just
disruptive.
affordable. Yeah, disruptive and also freeing.
Solar panels are also now 90% cheaper than they were. I don't know how long ago, like when they first started making them or whatever, but they're now very affordable as well.
Yeah,
which is good news for me because I want shit tons of them.
Yeah, and also I think they've made improvements to like long-term durability or recyclability. They've made improvements to conversion efficiency.
Mm.
And then there's like lots of little things you can do as an individual if you have solar panels to kind of boost them. One of them is like you can rather than just having every surface with solar panels, you can use mirrors to boost how much sun is landing on one panel.
Oh, okay.
There's little things like that, so increasing the intensity of light that's falling on it.
Fair.
And that's a low cost thing. Like a mirror is cheaper than a solar panel. So like
I feel it.
The other thing is like having like a Peltier or a thermocouple on the back of it that takes the heat out and takes that temperature difference of the panel. Solar panels become less efficient the hotter they are.
As most things do. Yeah.
Yeah. So the finding ways of
essentially cooling them,
but also exploiting that heat, which you can do.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Oh god, I want geothermal so bad. Get hard.
I think ultimately it's going to come down to disruptive technologies, and the big one I think is going to be if we can find ways of like making small scale, low cost energy storage for the home as an individual.
What, battery storage sort of thing?
Well, or like even just a flywheel.
Yeah. Was it you that was talking about the lights that slowly drop and that powers them? Was I talking to you about
the gravity light.
Yeah. That having systems in place where a minimum amount of effort from you generates enough energy to keep something running long enough that you need it. Like a light where you just go meh, and then the light's on for like an hour or whatever. Yeah,
so a gravity light is a light that is powered by a weight that is slowly falling.
Very slowly.
Yeah. It's like there's different ways of doing it, but it's essentially like you are creating stored potential energy by you personally lifting the weight. It's very similar to like the clockwork radio or the clockwork torch.
Yeah.
Which is like...
So imagine instead of flicking a light, pulling a cord.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I see it in my mind anyway. You just go bong and the light's on.
Yeah, and I can
also you don't have to worry about switching them off. They'll do it themselves.
Yeah.
You know, boom.
Yeah. And also like it's not... Yeah, they'll do it themselves, and also like you make that happen.
Yeah.
That energy was created by you.
Yeah.
Which creates a very different relationship with with the world around you, if that makes sense.
Totally does. Totally does.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could create a handheld version. where like, as in, like, literally, you have a lantern where the whole mechanism is contained within it, so the weight is falling within that lantern, and would not be affected by being jostled.
Okay, but the weight has to be like 3 kilos. You're talking like a considerable weight. You're talking about like a 2 litre bottle of water. It's got
to be a hefty boy to lift that lantern.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
All right, fair enough.
It's a nice idea.
Nah, you're better off with one of the wind-up charge ones, then, aren't you?
Yeah, like, and then in the case of like, so like flywheels, spooling up a flywheel, making that low cost enough that, because that's stored energy. Doesn't necessarily have to power your house the entire day, but I look at it like this: if every household has something that can store a little bit of power, all of that cumulatively adds up to a huge amount of power storage. Which then, if you factor in things like smart grids.
Well, we need to figure out a way of like because I remember reading an article about people who were looking at creating giant batteries. I think it was like hydrogen-based batteries or something like that, and it's connecting them to the grid. So when the grid is overloaded, as in like they're creating more energy than the grid actually needs, that energy is stored in the batteries, and because then you just wipe out the need for coal entirely. You know, solar spikes in the middle of the day, gets saved in the batteries, and then during the night the batteries are used. Boom. Yeah.
I mean,
it's not that simple, but like.
Well, here's the thing. Like, this is the thing that bugs me. We have the technology which doesn't rely on hydrogen fuel cell technology to have a hydrogen economy, right? Because whenever there's excess on the grid, why are you not using that power to electrolyse water? And have hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen you can just dump into the atmosphere. The hydrogen you can store in the gas grid.
Yeah.
And I check this. You can add hydrogen gas directly to the national gas network. Doesn't matter. The pumps will operate fine. The storage systems will function fine. You can just mix it, and in actual fact, some countries do. So my question is, when there's a spike in the grid, why isn't this water immediately electrolyzed? And that's decades old technology. We don't need this really sophisticated proton membrane to make hydrogen fuel cells work when we've already got this.
Right.
And we know how to do gas storage, and we know how to work with gas.
It depends how much gas would be created with that, but you may as well, right?
Yeah. This is my point. Like,
why don't you write to someone and ask him? I mean, I know that sounds like a crazy idea.
No, I get what you're saying.
Literally, just find out which department in the government is responsible for that, and be like, "Hey, why is this not happening?"
Well, I can tell you why it's not happening.
No funding.
It's because first of all, we no longer really do gas storage because Thatcher defunded it.
Oh my god, I hate that so much.
Which led to that wonderful situation where we sell our gas we sell the North Sea gas that we produce in summer to Norway, which didn't defund its gas storage and just stores it,
and then sells it back to us in the winter.
Sells it back to us at a profit. How insane is that? And this, in case you're wondering, is why your gas bills, like the price of gas increases in winter. I'm not just talking about like your gas bill increasing, because obviously you're using more gas, but I'm also saying per unit of gas, litre of gas, the price goes up. And also, it's because of that!
Also, we buy energy off of the French grid, because for some reason we need to do that.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Oh yeah, because we don't invest in our own, sustainable sources of energy. Like we could generate our own energy.
France does.
Yeah, good point.
They're like 85% nuclear, aren't they?
Well, that's like not being funny, but like nuclear's better than coal.
I don't disagree.
Like 85% nuclear is all right in my book.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
As long as you've got plans for when that runs out. And
as long as you've
naturally go into something else.
As long as you've got a way of dealing with the material.
Yeah, if anything, France is laughing because they can literally just sit there with their nuclear power plants. All it would take is some serious investment and funding in smart fridges, smart appliances to get people to buy those. That would probably drop their energy use enough to go down past
full
that 85%.
nuclear,
Yeah. And once they're full nuclear, they can literally sit back and wait until the technology is pucker and then buy it, instead of having to fuck about with it now when it's still being developed.
Or alternatively, like there are other avenues of nuclear that I'm also a big advocate for. So
Fission?
Well, no. Well, this fusion is a completely different thing.
Oh,
fusion is the sun, right? Fission is nukes.
The sun.
But what I was getting at there was, currently we only have uranium-based nuclear power.
Because we like blowing each other up.
Because we like the fact that as a byproduct you get plutonium, which you can use to make nukes. But there is a whole raft of fissionable material on the periodic table that we have access to.
Yeah, we are not.
Which is equally exploitable for energy, just doesn't produce the weapons. So there is a whole raft of nuclear power out there that has got none of the environmental concerns attached to it that you can attach to our modern,
much less
uranium-based.
Yeah.
The spent fuel rods, or like the material you have at the end, is nowhere near as hazardous, and its decay cycle is hundreds of years, not tens of thousands of years.
But also, like, even with the hazardous material that you get from uranium, still better than fossil fuels.
No, I don't disagree with you there.
Like, and people are like, no, we can't have that in our environment, and it's like, well, if you dispose of it safely, I mean, like, even if you do end up getting another Chernobyl, it's like, I hate to say it, it's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things, because what you do is you end up with another completely blossoming wildlife park.
By the way, guess where the largest, although technically not officially recognised as, nature preserve and place of rewilding is in Europe?
I think I spoiled it, but it's Chernobyl.
It's Chernobyl!
Like, people go fucking wandering about in there, like, not being
There's
like
people still fucking living there.
Yeah, like, and like, you do run the risk of getting bone cancer.
Yeah.
In a couple of decades, but I think there is enough people of our generation who are like, well, fuck, things are going to be fucked in a couple of decades anyway. So, nice tasty apple.
There's a species of Mongolian wild horse that was going extinct, and they put a not a pack, what do you call them? A herd of these.
Yeah.
Of these in the Chernobyl exclusion zone.
Yeah.
They're thriving. Their population's exploded, and the reason they introduced them, interestingly enough, was first of all as like a preservation attempt, and also because they wanted to introduce a species that could reduce the amount of grassland material that was accumulating, because there were serious concerns about fire. And so they've introduced a species.
If anything, we need a couple more meltdowns, like, because like that seems like threat of death seems to be the only way that we're going to allow wildlife to repopulate.
Yeah.
And
Jesus, we need a sustained retreat from our constant expansion. We need to stop chopping down the rainforest. We need to
stop building houses.
Oh yeah, we need to. We need to deal with
we need to optimize our farming, and then scale back our farmland.
We need to build up, not out.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: all of this technology already exists. Just what doesn't exist are the market forces to push for its implementation.
And the will.
Yeah, and the will. But I would argue, given that most of this comes under capitalism, it's not so much a question of will. Yeah, but it's a question of market.
Yeah, but forces. Matt, we're too worried about whether or not we're going to leave the EU. That's the problem.
Oh, and also, this sounds really like socialism, and we all know that's just code for communism. I just don't care anymore.
Oh, so annoying.
I don't care about this discussion. I don't care what you think it sounds like.
It needs to happen.
The world is dying.
Yeah.
The world is becoming unfit.
If you're not going to listen to us, listen to Bill Nye and his nice little video where he sets a globe on fire. Why not? Bill Nye, the nice sides guy, is telling you to fucking pull your finger out because the world's on fire.
Also,
and he's pissed.
if you want me to make an economic argument, and let's say you just don't believe in climate change, okay? Let's pretend that climate change is a myth, okay? That doesn't change the fact that we currently exist in a carbon-locked economy. And what that means is we currently have an economy that is completely reliant on fossil fuels, right? Fossil fuels are a finite resource. What happens when that runs out? How is our economy going to switch over?
Yeah.
Right? So there's a strategic reason to do the switch.
Do you want to know another
It's got
very
nothing
good reason?
to do with global warming.
Like, if all of our, if the UK is heavily invested in sustainable energy resources, wind and wave energy, specifically, solar would be good as well. We could become energy independent, which would, first of all, if we nationalised the energy production, would allow us to dictate the price, which would reduce it massively for everyone.
Yeah.
And secondly, would mean we're no longer reliant on like countries like Russia. And I don't know about you, I'd really like to not be reliant on Russia, like at all ever, because holy shit, if we're talking about fucked up countries, fucking Russia.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So there's a number of angles to come at this.
But I'm really looking forward to when Russia finally decides to like massively invest in climate change. Like essentially finally goes, yeah, we need to get off fossil fuels and we need to start pulling our finger out about this. Because if we think that China was weird and fucked up and made a lot of mistakes, I can't wait to see what Russia does.
What do you mean weird and fucked up?
Well, like as in like they flooded entire valleys to create hydro dams and just didn't factor in what they were going to flood with that, and fucked up the water that they had. The hydro dams water was fucked up because they didn't factor in what was in the valleys, and it got polluted with certain metals and shit like that, and the smog in like Hong Kong and that sort of shit, you know, like
Shanghai, not Shanghai,
yeah,
Beijing.
Yeah, and Hong Kong.
Okay, Hong Kong technically is part of the Commonwealth and is seceded from China. China doesn't.
Still?
Yeah. Technically.
Really?
Yeah.
Still?
Technically.
What the fuck?
It's not quite the Commonwealth, but Hong Kong is... China, if you ask the Chinese government, they will say Hong Kong is part of them. But Hong Kong will not say they're part of China.
Jesus, that's weird. Fucking hell. Didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Same with Taiwan, I think. It's a similar situation with Taiwan.
And an argument I constantly come up against is like, you know, like, well, but, you know, just even if the UK sorts their shit out, if nobody else does, we're fucked anyway. And it's like, yeah, but like, not being funny, we can just set a precedent, and then we can share the technology, and we can go out and help other countries to develop in this way, because we've got a lot of we've got a lot of developing countries at the moment, and what we can do is leave them to their own devices and let them go through their own industrial revolutions, or we could go, hey guys, look, we've gone through it. This is our end goal. Do you want to skip ahead to this?
Yeah, which is exactly what the the Paris Climate Agreement is.
Yeah.
It's about creating a pool of money from the countries that have already had their industrial revolution, to allow
because there are
developing countries to
and also
skip huge
there are
amounts of
other countries that are fucking pulling their finger out. I think it's Thailand, but Thailand's reforestation rate is fucking through the roof. They have gone to town on that shit, and there's a lot of issues with the way that people are doing their reforestation, and it could come back to bite people in the ass. But at least they're fucking trying. Like, holy shit. Like us in the UK, our version of that would be starting to fucking put down artificial peat bogs wherever we fucking can, because that would be fucking handy as shit. Artificial peat bogs, and then some fucking shallow rooted trees on top to keep everything held together, and then just leave it to fucking get just leave the wildlife to go, and boom.
Yeah, manage it so that you sustain that peat bog.
Yeah.
Biome.
Yeah. Top that off with some coppicing efforts, where you literally just coppice the trees and put them in the bogs.
Yeah.
Like that would be a very good way of carbon locking shit. Carbon, you know.
Or carbon sequestration.
Yeah. Or humans.
Hmm?
Well, if we got into the habit of when we died, the bodies get put in a peat bog.
Putting them in a peat bog, yeah.
Like, rather than burying them in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah,
lock all that carbon and all. That's the fossil fuel for the next... For 2 million years from now. Boom. Jobs are good.
Yeah, so
is it 2 million years? 2 million years?
It is
something
a
like
shocking amount of geological... Like, we're talking... Like, if you're talking about, like, the formation of coal and
it's
oil...
like millions of years.
It is a long amount
like,
of time.
nobody... You can't wrap your head around that, but just try. You know, the fuel that we use took millions of years to make, and it is running out.
Well,
it is running out in the rate of centuries, like decades.
It is sunshine that fell to Earth in the past.
Yeah.
Because the carbon that makes it up was taken out of the air by plants alive at the time. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is taking it out of the ground and burning it and putting it back into the atmosphere.
As opposed to using solar panels to just directly tap into the light we have now.
Yeah.
We're skipping out the middle million.
I mean, this is
the million
middleman.
middleman.
Let me be clear here. The ability to utilise that stored energy, that stored sunlight, which is what it effectively is what has allowed us to progress so rapidly as a species. Because before we were in an economy that was reliant on how much work you can get out of some animals and a human.
Well, I know. I mean, you say that, but like, I'm not 100% like I don't 100% believe that.
What do you mean?
Like I think that the harnessing of fossil fuels allowed us to rapidly elevate everyone, as in like industrial kind of like production of clothing and stuff, so everybody got it. But like the Greeks were toying about with fucking like steam engines. They just never put steam engine and wheel together.
What's your point?
So the technology could have progressed without the massive use, potentially.
Okay, there's a couple of issues. Okay, my question to you would be this. What do you think would happen? How do you think the world would have developed if coal and oil and natural gas did not exist?
I have no idea.
So
I have not put that much forward.
So let me be clear. The only major fuel source you can rely on are trees.
Charcoal, yeah.
Charcoal, yeah. So that's a limit. You need charcoal, but you also need agricultural land, and you need those to be in close enough proximity that you can utilise them both.
Right.
Steam engines as a whole will run on coal, not charcoal. There's a reason for this. The energy density of coal is far higher.
No, I feel you.
So that steam engine, steam train revolution potentially doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and
all right, I see your point.
Your consumption rates of it are so fucking massive. So the only major kind of power sources you can rely on are dams, windmills.
Yeah, every time I think about how our technology advanced, I'm fucking blown away.
Yeah.
Like, it is ridiculous. And it was the access everybody, like the fact that everybody had access to being able to experiment with this shit.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but you know what I mean. A larger population that led to technology advancing so quickly because you just had people fucking about.
Once you're able to create mechanical work from...
also, when you get 1 million people fucking about with shit, one person's bound to figure out the right thing.
Yeah, but they also have to have enough free time to be able to fuck about like that.
Yeah.
Whereas when we were hunter-gatherers, most of our time was spent finding calories.
Yeah, true.
Now you could exist as a
Although
person.
we did transition to farmers without the need for coal.
I don't disagree with you, but again, most of our time was spent working the land.
Yeah, fair.
It was, yeah.
Yep. Sorry. Yep. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong.
No, it's not. I'm saying it's right.
I was
or wrong.
impressed by the Greeks, though. Christ, they figured out a lot of shit. Like,
yeah.
like without
mathematics.
With not having coal, they were pretty handy. You know. Fucking like there is this whole theory of like the Romans had steel as well, though, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, like they figured it out. Like they didn't know. Like there wasn't. Nobody knew it was steel, but like the mixing of bone in with the like they mixed bone in during the process of making the iron swords,
right.
the iron swords, and that caused it to be a version of steel because of
so the impurity they were introducing was calcium, not carbon.
Well, no, I think it was the carbon in the bones.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, anyway, I don't like it. It was just that's just a throwaway comment. I've got no hard facts behind that shit. But yeah, no, it's just like every now and then, and also like I didn't like it never occurred to me that like civilizations prior to ours, without the use of fossil fuels, nonetheless still had massively devastating impacts on our environment. Like the reason there are no lions in northern Africa is because the Romans killed them all in fucking gladiatorial matches. They literally hunted them to extinction so they could fight them in an arena, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like that gives me a better understanding of how vast Rome was.
Yeah.
Right? More than anything else, right? They hunted fucking fucking tigers to extinction before they had guns. Like, they didn't even have guns, Matt, and they fucking did that shit. Like, can you imagine? They didn't even hunt them and kill them. They hunted them and trapped them all. They caught all the tigers, transported them all to Rome, and then killed them in Rome. That is a monumental amount of effort just to kill off one species.
Yeah, but think about it. I look at it like this, because they won't have just caught one, then taken it to the arena.
Oh,
They'll have taken a bunch, because in transit, a bunch would have died.
Yeah, true. You're right. Just blew my fucking mind. Oh, fucking Romans, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking Romans.
Oh boy.
That's an interesting point, though. Like, I wonder how many other examples there are. Oh,
well, the desert in
is it? What's that island with the statues, the faces?
Oh yeah, they chopped all their trees down, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they died.
Yeah.
Because they chopped all their trees down. Oh.
Is it the Galapagos? No, it's not.
Which should give you a scope of how fucking worried you should be right now.
Yeah.
Because we are capable of that shit.
Yeah.
We are capable.
We are literally doing it.
Yeah. Like, also there was what is it? The Fertile Crescent is now a fucking desert. I can't, like that shit. I can't. Was that in like Southern America? Sorry, or is that somewhere in the Middle East?
I thought
can't
it was
remember.
the Middle East.
Is it?
I thought it was to do with where the tail end of the Mediterranean is. So you've got the delta from the Nile.
Maybe. Hang on, I'm going to Google it. Anyway, while you talk.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's like, it's almost as if learning history and studying history and like looking at shit like this gives one a liberal bias. I can't think why.
Tying it back in.
Yeah. So I think to repeat myself from earlier, I think we are kind of in that fertile ground right now where people are open to the idea of like substantial lifestyle changes, where they are thinking about like, well, how can I, what's the very low impact life I can live where I'm essentially growing most of my own food, and I don't really need a massive income to support that and to support myself. So yeah, it's worth. It's something that I'm certainly thinking about at the moment. That's not me to say that larger action, with respect to like policy change and agenda changes for governments is pointless. No, absolutely should do that. And if you wonder, just to give a couple of examples, I mean, we only got rid of lead in petrol because of petitioning the government. We only got rid of CFCs because of the science and government policy. Like, market forces wouldn't have gotten rid of CFCs. CFCs were a great inert propellant that was cheap to make. Companies would never have stopped using CFCs, and it was a great refrigerant. Same with we wouldn't have catalytic converters on our cars if it wasn't for this kind of shit. So it can make a difference. Governments can help with it. And I think Jake's just...
Yeah, it's not great. So this isn't what I was thinking of. I was thinking of something else.
Okay.
I think that there was an area of land in Southern America that was farmed to the point where it got turned into a desert.
Oh, the Dust Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the thing.
That's the thing we did. However, this is a more modern thing. So the Fertile Crescent essentially has been supporting life in this area for since
where is it?
2000 BC.
Yeah.
And it is where you said it was.
Okay.
Iraq, Serbia, Turkey, Egypt.
Yeah.
That bit.
Yeah.
Right. And it essentially allowed civilizations to come about, which advanced all of our technologies massively.
Yeah.
And currently, due to all the damming that Iraq and Turkey and all of that lot are doing, damming and redirecting of water, it's all getting destroyed.
Fuck.
So it's all getting completely decimated. There have been loads of people campaigning, regional farmers and activists saying, we need to reverse this shit, and the governments have listened, but they're doing nothing about it. So that is a huge swathe of arable land that is just being destroyed.
It's not just that, it's culture that has been birthed because of it.
Yeah.
That's a weird turn of phrase to use, but what I mean by that is you have got societies that have existed in that arable environment
that are now in a desert land, essentially.
That's fucking
like
insane.
if you want modern day fucking Fallout, just go there. That's by the sounds of things. Like,
hell.
I think there's a reason there's so much fucking militant instability there, because you take people's food away and give them guns. Boom.
Definitely one out.
Yeah.
The other thing is
Israel.
This is a prime example of climate refugees. Then.
Yeah. Oh no, that is the beginning of it.
Because I wonder how many people have left Iraq because they were farmers.
I really would like to know, because nobody's been talking about it.
Yeah.
It's not been coming up.
So actually, these guys aren't escaping a war zone. They're escaping the loss of their livelihoods.
Quite possibly, as well as
because of climate issues.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that would be a great angle to come at that.
Wouldn't it be? No, like, not being funny. We should actually do some research into this, because if there's a significant portion of immigrants who are coming because of
refugees are not immigrants.
Sorry, refugees because of climate instability,
yeah,
rather than war, and what we're being told is they're fleeing a war.
Why did the war happen?
Why did
the instability occur? Because there were no jobs? Because they lost their jobs because the climate changed?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Maybe. We'll have to look into it.
It could be that the war was triggered by the climate instability. Yeah, I know we're just speculating here, but wouldn't it be interesting if that turned out to be the case?
Well, in Iraq, the war was triggered by America.
Yeah.
Being a twat.
Yeah.
And Turkey, I don't think... Turkey is at war with people, but Turkey has not been... Like, there's no civil war, I don't think.
Wasn't there a recent
was there?
Military coup in Turkey?
Oh, shit,
Attempted military coup.
Oh, right, yeah, you're right, shit. Fucking hell, but I know Turkey's also been attacking people.
Yes.
Because maybe they're running out of food.
I think they border with Syria and Iraq.
Oh yeah, they were invading Syria, weren't they? When we were
it's not that they were invading; they were protecting their airspace, and I think there was
when we were bombing them to shit.
Yeah.
I love how we've conveniently forgotten about that. Like that's not in the news anymore.
Yeah.
You know, us bombing children. Serbia. Is it Serbia or is it Syria?
Syria.
Serbia
was a very different conflict, and
was it?
Was a very different thing. Yeah,
okay.
the Serbian genocides of like.
Oh shit! That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, I am aware that I am sounding very ignorant right now.
No,
and that's because I am.
It's completely fine, and like I get where you're coming from, and yeah.
Yeah, just bear in mind that like I would consider us quite well-educated people who keep our finger on the pulse more than most in the UK.
Yeah, I think
so this is probably the best you're getting in
without sounding arrogant.
Yeah. Without sounding arrogant, I know a lot of idiots.
This isn't us like sucking ourselves off. It's just as a general rule.
Yeah.
In most conversations, we do tend to be firing better from the hip than most.
Yeah, but then again, we don't exactly.
We're still firing. We're still firing from the hip, to be clear.
Yeah, and also we don't go out of our way to kind of look for intellectually stimulating company. Like we do.
You might not.
We laugh a lot and that sort of shit. Like that's my thinking. You might. Do you? I don't know. Maybe.
I would argue like people who I actually go out of my way to talk to. Yeah.
Oh, okay, friends. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about friends. I was talking about like groups of people that we have. I
don't LARP for the fucking intellectually stimulating conversation. Like.
Yeah, God help you if you do. Anyway, yeah. So Fertile Crescent's no longer fertile. Yeah, that's a bit of a shitter.
Well, we'll get back to you on the next podcast to see whether or not we've, found an interesting thing regarding
or if we
climate
just
refugees.
completely forgot about it. But we'll
yeah,
see.
We're probably going to forget. But.
We're not great. I'm sorry, guys. Like we're not the cutting edge of climate. What's
I think
I'm
I'm
looking for?
Yeah, we're not at the cutting edge of anything
No.
really.
In fact, quite on most days, I feel like I'm teetering on the blunt edge of my sanity. So,
So something very rare is about to happen. I believe this is the first time that I have initiated final thoughts.
Oh my god!
So final thoughts.
Climate change is real. Sorry, the climate crisis is occurring. You're an idiot, Kevin. You really are an idiot.
Bold.
I hate you.
Bold.
Fertile Crescent's no longer fertile, and if you are feeling an impending sense of dread, fear not. that indicates only that you're still human.
Still sane. And on a more positive final thought, we had our first month with no coal power stations being switched on.
Oh, it was a whole month now?
Yeah.
It wasn't just a week?
No.
Whole month?
Yep.
Boy! That is good news.
Yes.
Also, our farmers are taking it into their own hands to change their agricultural practices to stop the erosion of soil and the
because they're seeing that's going to affect the bottom line, yeah.
Their lack of fertility. So they're switching to like non ploughing forms of agriculture where they just plant.
Oh yes.
So the fields are always having crops in them, and they just plant on like that. They don't dig; they just plant, which apparently works. I need to look into it because I want to know about it. But
tillless planting, I think, is what
something like that. Yeah, and I don't think it's widespread yet, but there are people picking it up, and it is growing because people are seeing the benefits because you need less labour, and I'm assuming less tractor usage as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom, jobs are good.
And I would imagine as well that the tractor is using far more fuel pulling a plough through soil than it is pulling a seeder.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Through unploughed soil.
And also, final thoughts is there is a climate crisis occurring, but things are being done to combat that, and it's never too late to start working towards saving as many lives as possible in the future.
And I would also say, from like an individual perspective, getting yourself as self-sufficient or self-reliant as possible,
just good for all round.
Is just good practice.
It's good if everything ends up okay.
Yeah.
Because you're self-sustainable, and that's fantastic. And it's good if everything goes to shit because you're self-sustainable and you'll be okay.
It doesn't matter if you can't go the whole way. If it's just like you grow
as much as you can,
you grow some vegetables. Like, who cares?
Yeah, or you buy a portable solar panel and you use that to charge your phone as much as possible. Yeah. Like
these are little simple things that we can do.
Yeah. All right.
So much love, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Oh no, Matt! I can't reach the pause button yet. So
I'm going to continue talking.
It's not going to take that long.
You know.